Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. It's the last day in the month of July 2024, a Wednesday, and of course, we are gearing up and getting ready for the protest, August 1st, happening tomorrow. And a lot has been going on. If you go around you, look around you, you'll notice that a lot of things have changed. You know, a lot of few queues here and there. People are not very settled. And of course, we're going to be talking about this and more today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Let me remind you that Deep Waters is live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, on 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Mondays, 5 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays. And this is where we have quality conversations, deep, meaningful conversations. We try to talk about trending topics, personal topics, deeply personal topics. We don't scratch the surface, but we go deep, into the deep waters, and we try to still those waters until, we are calm, until the situation is calm. And you might be hearing me and say, what she's saying, she's speaking in parables. No, I'm not speaking in parables. I'm speaking in deep thoughts right here on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. My name is Deborah Waters, and today we're talking about blame games. Who is taking responsibility for Nigeria's problems? Blame games. Who is taking responsibility for Nigeria's problems? Right now, I think one of the major questions I asked on my social media was asking, who should we blame for Nigeria's dysfunction? And if you want to hear people's thoughts, people are quick to point fingers. Oh, blame the government. Oh, blame COVID-19 situation. Oh, blame NSAS. And this president is blaming the next president. The new president is blaming the previous president. The people are blaming the president. The people are blaming the security. Everybody is just passing blames round and round and round. Now let me refresh your memory on what game culture means. A blame game is when people are playing. When people are playing the blame game is when everyone is blaming each other for a mistake or problem rather than acknowledging their individual roles in this problem, and rather than finding or focusing on the solution. So now, yes, we know Nigeria has problems. Nigeria is in the current state of dysfunction where things are not as settled as we want it to be. But again, we are asking, when we ask what are the solutions, what is this, what was that, we rarely talk about those things. We just want to pass blame games around. The people will say it's the government will say it's the previous administration, and it goes round and round like that. Well, how does that even, impact us as a people? Blame gaming, or placing blames on situations around us, on people around us. How does that even impact us in the long run? Does it solve any problem? Does it, give us any certain solution collectively as a people? Apparently, no. We're talking about this and more today. If you want to join the conversation, call in today on 0915-534-5627 or 0915-534-5509. I'm asking, who is to blame for Nigeria's dysfunction? Should we blame the government? Should we blame the people? Should we blame the government and the people? Should we blame, or should we just stop, blaming, literally? Should we just stop blaming? Because the blaming is left, right, and center, and it's getting us nowhere in this part of the world. Why is everyone passing the blame around? The truth is that even the people that are claiming that, oh, the government the government is this, the government is that, if you put them in the same government, would they do better? Big question. Would you do better if you were put in government today? Let's have this conversation and more. If you have thoughts and questions and opinions, please do what to calling on 0915-534-5627, 0915-534-5627, 0915-534-5627. The second new numbers for you to calling on and share your thoughts are 0915-534-5509, 0915-534-5509, 0915-534-5509. We're talking about blame games today. A lot of us are playing blame games, and we're asking, why is that? Why is everybody passing the blame around? And when we are passing, the funny thing about passing the blame around in this part of the world, It doesn't lead, and we're not even passing the blame. There's a way you pass the blame around and you say, okay, it's to a setting, the person at fault is going to be held and justice will be taken. But no, this is more like a lazy way out for all of us. Anyway, this is not a conversation that I will be having alone. Let's take our first caller on today's show. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Good evening.
All right, I can hear you, but you seem a bit far away.
Can you hear me like this?
Olawale, is that you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear Olawale, but I can't hear him here. Like, I can hear him in the background, but I can't seem to hear him.
Okay, maybe it's the network.
Okay, go
No
on, Olawale.
Okay, man, there is nothing, it's the government that will be blamed or something like that. Because if something is like a family, who you will blame? Is it not the head of the house, or is it the bottom of the house or something like that? It's the government that will be blamed. It's the government that will do something to the situation of Nigeria or something like that. But no matter how, let's see something that is like changing our national anthem now. We don't even, we hit to it, we dance to their tune. If they want to make something good in Nigeria, they are the one that they will do something. They will do something about the economy, about the currency in our Nigeria. That is the one that will be blamed. All our senators, all our legislators, all these things, we are the one. We are the one that will take hold of all these things that we are passing through in Nigeria. They are the one that will do something.
So, Olawale, are you saying that you as a Nigerian, you have no fault at all in all of these problems that we have?
Let me tell you something. Not that we don't even have fault or something like that. Something that if the head is bad, what of the remaining part of the body? That is now. They have already spoiled already. That is the thing. See the Baba getting me go leave the very shit. That is they normally say something. That will become when you spoil something, they make you that when you come there to do something. When you are but where the way the thing is not getting other everything. They are the one that you will call. Now, if you want to make your head, it's to organize and to make your head for you. You will not. Hello?
I can hear you.
That's it. If you go to the what? If you go to Zalu, it will make your head for you. If you want to gym, you will go to what? Fitness, fitness place to go and to make your body fit. That's the thing. They are the one that they will do something. It's not that we serve people in Nigeria as in Nigeria, we don't have something to contribute. But when they are the economy is not getting harder every day, that's it. They're supposed to do something.
Interesting, Olawale. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate it. All right, so but here we are again blaming the government, and I don't have a problem with you having your stance on who's to blame, whether it's the government, whether it's the people. But I'm saying that now, you said the head is the problem, is the head that guides us and all that. Even when the head was good, have you not seen situations that when the head was good, and I'm not even talking about Nigeria, I'm even talking about maybe in the work environment, in an organization, even when the head was good, when you have people that are behind are not good, they can ruin the entire situation. So as far as I see you blaming the government and all of that, I'm also trying to remind you that, are you saying that the Nigerian people have no problem, no fault in this at all? Even quiet or silence when there's an issue and there's silence, I think that's also a fault or a blame in its own. I feel like the Nigerian people, for example, we're quiet for too long. We take things, we keep taking it until it don't bad. Then you will now start saying government. Why are you taking something that is not acceptable from the start? Again, this is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. I want to hear your thoughts on the topic, blame games. Who's taking responsibility for Nigeria's problems? I got asked, who would you blame for Nigeria's dysfunction? Would you say, all the blame goes to the government? Because everything that happens now, everybody goes to the government. It's the government. Even traffic lights that traffic light will tell you stop. You will pass it. When you pass it and jam car, you will say it's the government. I know the government definitely have their own blame, but are we saying that we as Nigerian people, we don't have any fault at all? Are we saying that if you put us in government today, we will not repeat the same thing that is happening? The Nigerian people want something great. I know we all want a better country, but I feel like we also have to look at it from a solution-oriented perspective. Every time anything that does not government. What about we as a people? What responsibility are we taking? What responsibility as a people are we taking? We're not doing better as people. Like I said, silence in times of difficulties, silence in terms of when things are wrong, it itself is partisan. It's partisan to issues that we're talking about. Let me hear your voices today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. I missed a call earlier. Please do well to calling. The number to calling on is 0915-534-627. 5627. Sorry, let me take that again. 0915-534-5627, 0915-534-5627, or 0915-534-5509, 0915-534-5509. Let's take a caller. Hello. 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 All right, I can't seem to hear you. I think would have to call me back. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe it's the network or some technical issues. I hope nobody blames the government for this one too. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Let me hear your voices. We're talking about blame games. Why are we all passing blames around? Now, I know governments have their own. The people have their own fault. Let's talk about the media. The media has been, it's a mix of a blessing. I don't know whether it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because the media also has a way of focusing so much on negativity. Go online today, the conversations and the information that moves faster than fire is negative news. We can look at a situation and we can see good and bad, but we choose to proclaim and exhaust the bad over the good, because we know that the bad would sell faster, the bad will move faster. So yes, governments have their own issues. People call. I want some people to call in and own up. We also have our own issues. We also have our own that I've not even started, digging into right now. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good to have you on the call. Thanks for calling.
My name is Ismail Alia.
What's your name?
Ismail Alia from my job.
Okay. Good to have you. Thanks for calling in. Thank you, Ismail, for calling. Talk to me. Please turn off your radio, please, Ishmael.
I want to talk about the government don't have issue, but we have issue.
Hello. Okay. All right. Please turn off your radio, Ismail. Please do well to call back. Please turn off your radio when you call back. I would really, really love to hear your thoughts. You sound really young, and it would be nice to actually hear a youth's perspective on this show. Hello.
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 Hello, Deborah. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, please go ahead, Olawale.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
You are making some sense. Like say the traffic light, people will not wait. People will just pass through or something like that. Now, is it not the people that make the law that normally overrule the law or something like that? Just go through. Let's see. They tell you that you should not pass BRT lane or something like that. We see some people that we are looking towards to, like our leaders. They are the ones that will carry their codes, co-workers, all these things. They will be passing one way, going like other people. And we are looking towards them or something like that. The way themselves, they are carrying things. You don't let the what? Individuals, the what? Nigerians to be what? To be behaving like we are behaving like them. We behaving like people that we are looking towards you. Oh, when the rest see this thing, they say Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And that's why because he come to be Son of Man, to become the Son of God. Abi? Leave all these things. But all these our government, we all of us, we are behaving like them. That's the thing. It's the hand that they say hand these children. That's the way the children will be. Or something like that. All of us now, I can tell you everybody is passing one way. If anybody that last man our host, the people that why do you pass that one way? You now be talking on it. You know people you have whereas that other person self is passing one way because he was not cut down by what? By last month. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's the
Interesting.
government that will replace. That's the thing.
Thank you so much, Olawale, for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, I like what you said, Olawale. You know, the people are just like the government. The governments are a reflection of the people, and that. But you make it sound like the governments are some gods. Have you forgotten that the government is actually a group of people? They're like you and I. They are just a group of people that actually just make decisions. So we are actually the governments, literally. If your family is in power or somebody you know is in power, you are indirectly the government. We are the government. The only difference is that they just have, we've given them certain powers, you know, to make certain decisions. And sometimes we forget that we actually give them the power. We are the one who give them the power. But it has gotten to a point too that now it's no longer giving the power. Now we've given up in such a situation and say, okay, you know what, they have the power. It's they. When we're speaking about the government, we speak about them like, oh, they, but they are just like you and I. And do not forget that we give them the power as people. They are just like you and I really want to hear your thoughts on this topic. We're talking about blame games. Who is taking responsibility for Nigeria's problem? The government will say it's the previous administration. The previous administration will say it's the other previous administration. The people will say it's the government. The police will say it's the people. It's just going round and round and round. And now we finally say, okay, oh, you know what, we want to go out and protest tomorrow and, you know, shout this thing. But every one of us have a part to play in all of this. And that's why when we go out today, we are seeing another group of people saying that they are protesting against a protest. Guys, can you see that we are actually the one even doing ourselves at the end of the day? I think one of our major issues as people and the responsibility that we should be taking as people, one of the blames that we should be taking as people should also be that we are greedy. We are greedy. We're greedy, and the greed doesn't take us. The greed is not a good kind of greed. The greed is not a greed that, oh, we are looking out for Nigeria kind of greed. Everybody will save their head first before Nigeria. Are we even patriotic? And this is even me speaking for myself too. I'm on this table. Are we even patriotic? Some of us are saying, oh, tomorrow I will be protesting from my house. I will be typing. Okay, if we let them go and guys, I don't want to use my mouth to say everything. I want us to talk about this blame games. Who's taking responsibility? Who should take responsibility for Nigeria's problem? I know you're saying it's the government. The government are saying something else. But are you saying that the people have no part to play in all of this? This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Let's go on a break. When we get back, more conversations on the topic. As always, I have a special guest with me. He's a life coach, yes, and he's going to be helping us understand the concept of blame games. Why do people pass blames around? The impact of blame games in our society, the impact of blame games on our work, on our finances, on Nigeria as a whole. Let's go on that break. When we get back, more conversations. Deep Waters. Welcome back, Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. We're talking about blame games, and you're asking who's taking responsibility for Nigeria's problems. And my special guest, Joel Kayode, earlier said that we have a choice to do what's right, you know, irrespective of what the government is doing. And that I felt that was really that was a rema, but that was also a hard thing to take, a hard pill to swallow. It's just like a family saying, oh, the parents keep the place dirty, and then the child is saying, if the parents keep, why should I keep the house clean? You know, now for a child to decide and say, okay, I want to make sure my room is tidy, irrespective of what my parents do in the house. How can you see how hard that can be? I'm just using that as an example. So yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions and questions. Please do also calling on our new numbers 0915 534 5627 or 0915 534 5509. 0915 534 5627 or 0915 534 5509. Let me hear your voices. Let me hear your thoughts on the topic of the day, blame games. Now, back to you, my special guest, Joel Coyote. So I've asked what will happen if our society continues to, going on the blames. And you had very interesting things to say. But before I ask my next question, let's quickly take this caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good to have you on the show.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ikena.
Oh, how
Hello.
I can hear you. Network is a
Oh,
little
okay, please go ahead.
somehow. Pardon me?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, you see, the issue of blame game and as it relates to, let me talk about Nigeria and where we are and all these things. Yeah, we talk about government because they have the responsibility to do what's right, and so we want to blame them for some of the things happening in the country. But then again, there are the people at the outside also that are contributors to it. You know, there is the conversation now about protest, and you are seeing what obviously can be tend to be sponsored crowds coming out to say, "Oh, we are against the protest. We say no to protest." And the people are hungry. These people know that there's a situation in the country that that necessitates the protest. The protest is about let's get these guys, let's call out these guys to do things right so that it will be better for everybody. Now, someone offers you 1K5 or 2,000 or thereabout, then you come out and say, "Oh, no to protest." Then you go back home and you know you're hungry. And sometimes comes you are offered a small bag of rice or 5,000 and you go and vote. And I mean, you should sit back and think, who is the person that's willing to bring out this money for me to go and say no to this? Why should I say what's the person's motivation?
But
So
Ikenna, have you been hungry before though? Have you been hungry before? Have you been in a
pardon me?
situation where you don't know what to eat later in the night? You don't even know what to eat in the morning. You don't even know what to eat tomorrow. And you even have maybe 2 or 3 kids. They don't know what to eat.
There must be a way you have
So I should say no to a urgent 5K that would sort my problem immediately.
I tell you when you try to point out some of these things that about the situation that can motivate a person, take the bribe or whatever. But for how long must it continue? Someday you must say no. There has to be a starting point to you do no. And if we don't start it someday, we'll just continue running around this circle and continue blaming somebody. And when it comes to our own turn to minimally do what is right, we don't do it. So as far as let me limit to Nigeria issue, blame game happens even in a relationship and all of that. But limiting to Nigeria issue, yes, people in power have been, they have the authority, their policies can rule over millions of people, yeah. But the individual and minimally can say no. If I say no, everybody else says no, then it becomes a no.
Actually, a strong no. Becomes a strong no. Because we're saying no now, but the no is not strong. It's like no. Everybody no. In our house, we are saying no. Nobody's coming out to say no.
Enough is enough.
All right, thank you so much, Ikenna, for sharing. I appreciate it. All right, moving on. Do you want to comment on that before we move on, or you just?
Didn't really hear him well.
You didn't really hear him well, okay? But he just basically talked about individuals. But let's move on to the next question. How can we stop or minimize the blame games happening in the country?
The country, right?
Yes.
Is for the government to be a good examples. They should have. I believe they all know what is right, but there is always this lack of political will to do what is right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why at times, in the year past, I heard someone saying, it seems there is a demon in Hasso Rock that once you get there, or in the State House generally, they always manipulate your mind, something like that. Because these people, they were the ones that traveled the most. So they know what is good. But I believe they always lack the political will to execute what is right.
Or do you think greed has the part to play in all of this? When you see
You
access,
mean the citizen?
even the government, greed in terms of when you have access to plenty of funds and money, your priorities just change.
That's it. First of all, there is a need to restructure our country. That's why in the past, and you see the last 3 regimes, things are only getting worse. And I can tell Nigerians that in the next 4 years, if we don't change this structure, we will still be appreciating 2024, even in 2028. Except we make up our mind that we are changing this structure, this system of governance. It has been, corruption has been enshrined into this particular system.
I think
That I don't believe an individual can do anything meaningful out of this system, except we change the system. And that's where responsibility comes in.
so. I hear you in terms of system, but what about the corruption that is in our blood
As an individual,
as individuals?
it's because just like you were telling Ikena the other time, that has he ever suffered hunger? If someone had, on my way to this studio, I was engaged with a discussion with a friend. So the guy was like, it seems the politicians are using hunger as an instrument to rule the people now. Just like what you said. If someone, you should give someone urgent 2K now or 5,000, they are ready to go any length. And that's what is even happening now. As regard this protest, some people have started receiving some money and they started going back, that they are no longer interested. So we must all make up our mind that we are going to do, we know what is right, that we are going to say a bigger no, if I should borrow your word. We must all come out and say big no.
And look at the big picture. I feel like a lot of Nigerians look at the immediate solutions.
Satisfaction.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's satisfaction, immediate.
That's it. Because that's what always happens during election. You are only thinking about the 1 derica of rice you are taking for now. You are not thinking about the next 4 years. And that's what's happening now.
Interesting. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Let's take one more call before we wrap up the show. Oh my God, I lost that call. Please do want to call back. The number to calling is 0915-534-5627. Let's take that call. Hello.
Yeah, I called back.
Thanks for calling back, Ikena.
Okay, the network wasn't good the last time I called. You know what I said, which sadly your guest didn't get, is even re-echoing what I said. You see, at some point, you know, we have to say no. You know, now we're having a protest coming up. The protest is simply about bad governance. Now, some guys, we are seeing some supposed counter protests that obviously show that they are sponsored. You are sitting down, you know you're poor, you're suffering out of the actions of some people that have been put in power and in charge of making things right and doing things, and you know they're not doing things right. That is why you're suffering the way you're suffering. Now, this same person comes to you, offers you 2,000 naira, you know, says, oh, guys, they do this, and you agree, without thinking that, okay, what is his motivation for wanting to give you this money? It happens during election as well. You see, as far as Nigeria is concerned and what is happening, the people at the outside, the bigger public, suffering out of the actions and inactions of the few in government. The few in government are being helped by the outside people. Because if one person says no, the next person says no, everybody says no, they know, okay, oh, now this style can no longer work. The only style that will work is to do the things that are supposed to be done in the right way. Then things start moving forward.
Interesting.
So long as you can continue, like the guy said, someday, God forbid, but I know it might happen. We'll miss 2024. We've always been missing every year. When during Jonathan, oh, Nigeria is now bad, blah, 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 blah.
All right.
Dollar was even 150.
Thank you so much, Ikena. I have to cut
and
you here. Thank you so much for sharing. We have to go, sadly. Thank you for sharing. I think that a lot of Nigerians actually have to have faith and trust. Because in terms of, even someone is thinking, oh, if I say no, what if, I should say no to this urgent 2K. What if Mama Sikra behind collects it? So what impact does it make at the end of the day? Because they will still go out and I will still lose on the 2K. So we don't have faith in the country. We don't even trust ourselves. Sometimes we go the tribal route and say, okay, the Igbo man
That's another main problem.
Yes. That's a ball game.
Divide and rule.
Interesting. Let's just wrap up the show because we have to go now. One thing, in short, what do you think is the correct mindset to have as citizens, as people step out tomorrow, as Nigerians step out tomorrow to protest? What is the right mindset to have?
I think we should have the mindset of Nigeria first. When you have the mindset of Nigeria first, you will know that two wrong will never make a right. So you won't go out to be destroying public properties. So I won't encourage anybody to go out to destroy public properties. So if you have the mindset that Nigeria first, then you will only protest on the basis of bad governance and the change that you want, not causing more problem. Because when we destroy all the facilities, then we are taking ourselves aback. So I'm encouraging Nigerians that wanted to protest to go out peacefully and express your grievance against bad governance, but not to destroy government properties.
Interesting. And so, if you go out peacefully and the people are not, peaceful towards you, what about that?
And that's another point to it, another side to it. Like I told you before getting to this studio, we were engaging on this.
Yeah.
I believe that as Nigerians, most Nigerians are ready to go out peacefully. But my thought is, if there is no confrontation from the police or the tout, everything will go well. The main problem is either the police challenge them or there are some hooligans that we call the mayor.
Okay.
So that's the main
So when
challenge.
they do, what happens? You run away? You keep protesting, or what?
That's always what resulted into mayor.
We hope that doesn't happen tomorrow.
That's just the prayer.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
It is my pleasure.
Coyote. How can people find you on social media? Be part of your live school and academy?
So you can check Joel Coyote on every social media at the Joel Coyote.
The Joel Coyote.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing
It
your
is my
thoughts.
pleasure
Are you
to be.
protesting tomorrow, though?
It depends on the environment.
Thanks for your honesty.
I'm very grateful.
To everybody who called in and shared their thoughts, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. Please go out tomorrow peacefully as Nigerians. If anybody brings violence towards you, do not return it with violence. Walk away peacefully as a true Nigeria. If you're looking out for Nigeria, not just the people around. You're looking at Nigeria as a whole, and you're also looking at putting out what we really want out there, which is good governance, and that we would achieve. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on Friday at 5 p.m. Bye bye.